Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Welcome back to a safe place. Welcome back to a quiet place. This is English Mind Waves. I am your friend. I am your teacher, and I am so happy you are here with me today. Before we start our story, let us stop for a moment. Life is very busy. The world is very loud. But right now, you and I have time. We have peace. So please, pull up a chair, find a comfortable spot. Maybe you are sitting on your bed. Maybe you are drinking a hot cup of tea. Maybe you are walking in a park. Wherever you are, just relax. Drop your shoulders. Relax your hands. Let us take a deep, slow breath together. Breathe in. Breathe out. Very good. Today we are going to travel far away. We are going to travel back in time. We are going to learn a secret. It is a secret about strength. It is a secret about survival. Imagine, my friends. Close your eyes if you can. Imagine you are walking in a tall green mountain. It is early in the morning. The air is cool. The air is wet. There is white mist touching the tops of the green trees. You hear the sound of water. A small river is running over smooth stones. You walk further up the mountain. You look through the trees, and you see something amazing. You see a building, but it is not a normal building. It is a giant, round house. It is made of brown earth. It is made of mud and wood. It looks like a huge circle sitting in the green forest. It is beautiful. It is very strong. This building is called a tulo. A tulo is a special home. Hundreds of people live inside this one big round house. They live together like one giant family. Who built this amazing house? Who are the people living inside? They are the Hakka people. Today, we will learn their story. We will learn how these mountain people changed the world. We will learn about their leaders like Hong Xiuquan, Kuan Yew, and Deng Xiaoping. We will learn their deep, powerful secret. If you like stories about history, if you want to learn English in a calm and peaceful way, please subscribe to English Mind Waves. Every story we share is made to help you learn. Every story is made to help you grow. Now, let us begin our journey. Let us start at the very beginning. Who are the Hakka people? The word Hakka is a very interesting word. In the Chinese language, Hakka means guest families, or simply guest people. What does it mean to be a guest? A guest is someone who visits. A guest is someone who is not in their original home. The Hakka people were guests, but they were guests for hundreds of years. Thousands of years ago, the Hakka people lived in the north of China. The north of China was a good place. The land was flat. The land was rich. They grew wheat. They lived peaceful lives. But history is not always peaceful. War came to the north. The fighting was terrible. There was fire. There was danger. The people were afraid. They had to make a choice: stay and die or leave their home. They chose to leave. They chose to walk. Imagine this journey, my friends. Imagine leaving the only home you have ever known. They packed their clothes. They took their children. They walked south. They walked for weeks. They walked for months. They walked for years. It was hard. It was very, very hard. Their shoes broke. Their feet bled. They were hungry. They were cold in the winter rain. They were hot in the summer sun. But they kept walking. They were looking for a safe place. Finally, they arrived in the south of China. But there was a problem, a very big problem. The south of China was already full. Other people lived there. The local people already had the good land. They had the flat land near the rivers. They had the rich soil for growing rice. There was no good land left for the guests. There was no good land left for the Hakka. Where could they go? They looked up. They looked at the tall, wild mountains. The mountains were dangerous. The mountains had tigers. The mountains had snakes. The soil in the mountains was full of rocks. It was very poor soil. You cannot grow much food in rocky mud. But the Hakka people did not cry. They did not give up. They looked at the mountain and said, "This will be our home. We will survive here." Life in the mountains was a deep struggle. Every day was work. To eat, they had to cut trees. To plant rice, they had to move heavy rocks. The men worked. The women worked. In many parts of old China, women had small, bound feet. They could not walk well. But Hakka women were different. Hakka women never bound their feet. They needed strong feet. They needed to walk up the mountain. They needed to carry wood. They needed to work in the sun, right next to the men. Hakka women were famous for being strong and brave. They were poor. Their clothes were simple. Their food was simple. They ate sweet potatoes because sweet potatoes can grow in bad soil. But inside, their minds were rich. Inside, their hearts were strong. Because they lived in the wild mountains, they faced many dangers. There were wild animals, but there were also dangerous men. There were bandits. Bandits are bad men who steal food and hurt people. The Hakka people were strangers in the south. They had to protect themselves. They had to be safe. How do you stay safe when you have no army? You use your mind. You build a fortress. This is when they built the tulo, the great round houses we imagined earlier. They mixed mud, brown sugar, and sticky rice. Yes, food! They used food to make the mud strong like stone. They built thick, high walls. The walls were so thick, you could drive a car on top of them. There was only one door to go inside the giant house. If the bandits came, the Hakka people closed the heavy wooden door. Inside, they were safe. Inside, hundreds of families lived together. They shared their food. They shared their stories. They protected each other. But the Hakka people had another secret weapon, a weapon stronger than thick mud walls. What was this weapon? Was it swords? No. Was it guns? No. Their greatest weapon was books. The Hakka people loved education. They loved to learn. They understood a very deep truth. Listen to this truth, my friends. It is very important. They said, "A man can steal your money. A man can steal your land. A man can steal your food. But no one can steal what is inside your head. No one can steal your knowledge." Because they had no rich land, they knew their children must study. Studying was the only way to escape poverty. In the evening, inside the dark tulo, there was no electricity. They only had small oil lamps. The light was very weak. But under this weak light, little Hakka boys and girls read books. They memorized poems. They studied history. Parents who did not have enough food to eat would still buy books for their children. They suffered. They struggled. But they always looked to the future. They always believed tomorrow could be better if they learned more today. This combination, hard work, strong women, thick walls, and a deep love for books, created something magical. It created a special kind of person. A person who is not afraid of anything. A person who can survive in the hardest places on earth. Over hundreds of years, this small group of guest people started to change history. Let us look at three men. Three men with Hakka blood. Three men who changed the world. First, let us go to the 1800s, the 19th century. China was very weak. The poor people were suffering. A Hakka man named Hong Xiuquan saw this suffering. Hong Xiuquan was a teacher. He was a smart man. He looked around and saw a broken system. He saw corruption. Corruption is when leaders steal from the poor. Hong Xiuquan used the Hakka spirit. He used his voice. He stood up and said, "No more." He started a massive movement called the Taiping Rebellion. A rebellion is when the people fight the government. Millions of people followed him. They wanted a new world. They wanted a fair world where men and women were equal. The fight was terrible. It was one of the biggest wars in history. Hong Xiuquan did not win in the end. He died. But he shook the world. He showed the power of a poor mountain teacher who had a dream. Now, let us turn the page of history. Let us travel to the 20th century. Many Hakka people left the mountains of China. They became guests again. They took boats across the dangerous ocean. They went to Southeast Asia. One Hakka family went to a tiny island. This island was called Singapore. From this family came a man named Kuan Yew. Kuan Yew became the leader of Singapore. When he started, Singapore was very poor. It was a small swamp. A swamp is wet, muddy land. There were no natural resources. There was no gold. There was no oil. They did not even have enough clean drinking water. Many people said Singapore would die. Many people said it was impossible to survive. But Kuan Yew had the Hakka spirit in his blood. He looked at the muddy island, just like his ancestors looked at the Rocky Mountain, and he said, "We will survive here. We will build a home here." He used the Hakka secret: education, hard work, discipline. He told his people they must learn. They must speak English to talk to the world. They must clean their city. They must work together. Kuan Yew worked day and night. He fought through tears. He fought through fear. And what happened? Today, Singapore is not a muddy swamp. Singapore is one of the richest, safest, and most beautiful countries in the whole world. It is a miracle. And it was built with the brain and the iron will of a Hakka descendant. Finally, let us look back at China. Let us look at another man with Hakka roots. His name was Deng Xiaoping. In the 1970s, China was very poor. Millions of people had no food. The country was closed to the world. The doors were shut tight. Deng Xiaoping became the leader. He was a very short man. He was old. He had survived terrible political wars. He was sent away to work in a tractor factory. But he never gave up. He was a survivor. Like his ancestors, he knew how to endure. Deng Xiaoping looked at his huge, poor country. He knew things had to change. He opened the doors of China. He said, "We must learn from the outside world." He started economic reforms. He allowed people to start businesses. He allowed farmers to keep their money. Because of Deng Xiaoping, hundreds of millions of people climbed out of poverty. It was the fastest economic growth in human history. He changed the lives of billions of people. He changed the global economy forever. 3 men, Hong Xiuquan, Kuan Yew, Deng Xiaoping, very different men, different times, different places. But they shared the same deep root, the root of the guest people, the root of the mountain survivors. My friends, what is the life lesson here? What can we learn from the Hakka people? The lesson is a beautiful word. The word is resilience. Resilience means bouncing back. When life pushes you down, resilience is the power to stand back up. When life breaks your heart, resilience is the power to heal. The Hakka people were chased from their homes. They were given the worst land. They were pushed into the dark mountains. But they did not cry forever. They did not say, "Life is unfair." They took the rocks and they built homes. They took the bad soil and they grew sweet potatoes. They took their poverty and they bought books. They show us that your environment does not decide your future. It does not matter if you are born in a big palace or a muddy village. It does not matter if you have rich parents or no parents at all. What matters is inside you. Your mind is your palace. Your hard work is your gold. They also teach us about the meaning of home. The Hakka are the guest people. They moved and moved and moved, but they were never lost. Why? because they carried their home inside their hearts. Their home was their family. Their home was their culture. Their home was their love for learning. If you have a strong mind and a brave heart, you can be a guest anywhere in the world, and you will survive. You will build your own Tulu wherever you go. The English Learning Connection. I want you to think about yourself right now. You are listening to this story. You are learning English. In a way, my dear friend, you are a guest too. You are a guest in the English language. English is not your first home. It is a new place. And sometimes, being a guest in a new language is very hard. Maybe the words feel strange in your mouth. Maybe the grammar is confusing. Maybe you try to speak and people do not understand you. Maybe you feel tired. Maybe you want to give up. It feels like walking up a steep mountain with heavy rocks on your back. It is hard. It is very, very hard. But remember the Hakka people. When the mountain is steep, keep walking. When the soil is poor, keep planting seeds. Every time you learn a new English word, you are building a brick for your house. Every time you listen to a story, you are making your mind stronger. No one can steal your English. Once you learn it, it is yours forever. Learning English is a long journey. It takes time. It takes patience. But every story you listen to makes you stronger. Every word you understand is a victory. Every sentence you speak is a triumph over fear. You are building your own strong Tulu of knowledge. And one day, you will look back and you will see how far you have climbed up the mountain. You will see a beautiful view. I am so proud of you for trying. I am so proud of you for listening today. My friends, we have reached the end of our journey today. We walked through the misty mountains. We stood inside the giant round earth houses. We met teachers, leaders, and survivors. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Time is your most precious gift, and I am honored you gave it to English Mind Waves today. Before we say goodbye, I have a simple question for you. I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from today? And have you ever felt like a guest in a new place? Please write your answer in the comments below. I read every single comment. We are a community here. We are a family of learners sharing our stories. If this story touched your heart, if it helped you understand a little more English, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with a friend who is also learning. Take a deep breath. You did a great job today. Until next time, my friends, take care of yourself. Be kind to the people around you. And always, always keep learning. Goodbye for now.